Hi, so for this video we're creating a little bracket. So you know when you've got a bike, quite often e-bikes have electrical things on the handlebars and you don't like touching the ground, so we're going to make a little 3D printing bracket that we can clip onto the handlebars. So I'm going to go into order modeling. Okay, so I'm going to do a sketch on the front plane, and I'm going to start with a symmetric line. So I'm going to start the line command with a left click, and I'm going to use the S key, and that's going to go symmetric on there as well. I'm going to go, let's go 80mm on there, and that's good. So quick thing, I've got relationship colors on. I've also got the option for auto dimension only when it's created with keyed in values. So make sure those options are clicked, and we get to that from the little light bulb icon on there. So I'm going to go back to the line command using that, and then I'm going to go up, and I've got a little shape I'm going to do, so I'm going to go with that, and then I'm going to go, so my handlebar with a grip on is going to be about 33mm diameter, so that's the shape that I want. Let's press escape to come back out of there, and let's go up across. If I hover over that, I kind of weight that up, and that's going to make sure that that's good to there, and then I'm going to go across. So I'm now going to go and trim these, so I'm going to trim that, and I'm going to use the equal command, and I'm going to select these two elements. We can also, if we just press escape, if we click on a line, we're going to get the equal come up here as well. So we've got a couple of different ways we can do that if we need to on there. And then I'm going to create a horizontal and vertical, not on that line, press escape first. Horizontal and vertical between the end point and the center point on there. If we use a smart dimension, we click on a line and then click on the end point of another line afterwards, and then go over to the side. 50mm will be about right on there. We can see we've got one key. We can choose the horizontal and vertical to get that back on there, and we've got that size. So I think the only size that we're missing now is this overall size on here. Notice I've used distance between on there to get those correct. If we're not sure on what's missing, we can click on a line. If you drag the left hand side of this, that'll move it out of the way, and we can then go and drag that and go okay then. So that's not great, so it must be the horizontal and vertical that we forgot on this one. We've done the one, and then we've got our fully constrained profile. Okay, so we're looking good on there. So let's go and close our sketch and finish. In this version, we can find our region. So what I find is we need to escape out, and then we can choose extrude, and we can decide what we're going to do on there. So I want to go about 20mm, and then left click to confirm, and then right click and escape to exit that command on there. And I'm going to go and turn my sketch off on there. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. So next I'm going to do a thin wall. Common thickness, let's go 3mm, and we're going to choose that as my open face. Right click to accept, right click to preview, and finish on there. Okay, we're looking pretty good. This is going to have a bit of weight on it, so I might make a little change on here and thicken this face up. So if we choose the drop down and thicken, we've got different options on here. So I want to do a single face. I want to come down, say 2mm. That's pretty good. And then we can do some rounding, but I kind of want to make this a little bit stronger. I could leave this solid and let the 3D printer calculate this, but I don't want to do that. I want to do this myself because I want to do this as 100%. So what I want to do a web network. I'm going to make sure I change my plane to coincident, not parallel. Parallel tends to be the standard, but I just want to do coincident on there and select that face. What I can then do is just draw some lines. It's then going to create a network on there. So I do a line from there going down. Let's do a line. I want to kind of make sure I've got my tangency. So make sure I've got my tangency by the mouse. Again on that one, I want to make sure I've got the tangency and the point on there. And then I might do another couple. Let's try that one and that one. So I need a couple of verticals on there. There's a bit of space in there, but that should be okay. Once done that, we can close our sketch, make sure that we go down with our profile, and we can define our thickness. I'm going to stick with 3 on there, and that's got my web network on there. Okay, pretty happy with that. I could round the corners, but I'm probably not too worried because that's just going to add material. It might be an idea just to kind of get rid of a couple of the worst ones. So maybe just one on there. Just be careful. Sometimes when you do rounds like these, it's going to go weird on there. So just be very careful when you've got those on there. So what I want to do those two just because I want those two to be rounded. That's pretty good. And then that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose that as a blend. And that's going to allow me to blend the two faces. So if I set that to 1, that's going to give me a nice little 1 mil radius on there. Preview and finish. And then let's go and do the same on this side. Again, it's remembered 5, so make sure that we change that to 1 for us to get that as a blend on there as well. Okay, let's go and pop these two back in because I changed those before I'd finished. If you're doing these values, notice that keeps setting to 5 and 1. Good thing to do, what I find, is go into the radius and then escape once you've changed the value. If you then go back in, so if I press tab and then cancel on there, that will normally remember your previous setting. So now I've done that in 1. Next time I go, that's going to remember it. So sometimes go in there, create the feature, delete it if you want to just get that back to a standard size. Okay, so we've designed that. We're okay. I'm probably going to do another couple of rounds on here just to make it a bit less sharp on some of these corners. But what I've thought about, that's going to go on, but that's going to kind of what I'm going to call slide off. If I go and pick the bike up, I'm going to lose it. It might stick and then move. So what I want to do, I want to do another extrusion on here to kind of hold onto here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose that and I press the A key to get an arc. And I'm going to go up on there. I'm going to do another arc as well on here. Between those two, I want to make sure that these two are concentric. So those two are going to be concentric on there. This one, so my radius needs to be the same as that one. So I can actually go and choose that, and that's going to go and match that radius on there. And what I want on here, I want like a little sphere kind of thing that sticks out to kind of give a little grab point on there. So just create a circle. I'm going to go 3 mil on there. I'll use the tangent constraint to get that on the back. And then the trim command to get rid of these parts, and then that one as well on there. Okay, let's do some dimensioning on there. So what I want to do is kind of dimension that to the center of that circle on there. 8.5, that'll do. Okay, because that's an open profile, when we exit that, it's going to ask for direction. So make sure that we click on there, and then we've got our different options. We can use spacebar to go and turn that to add, and we've got our different options. So we can go through next, through all, but we need to make sure that we choose finite and select that key point at the end on there. Looking nice. So we want that on the other side as well. So if we choose that protrusion, choose the mirror command. What I want to do, use my view cube to figure out what I want. So I want the right plane. I can then come up here and just click on right, finish, and that's going to go and create that for me nicely on there. I want to create a couple of rounds on here as well, maybe a little bit larger than that, so maybe that's where the 10 mil comes in. And that's going to hopefully provide just enough on there. So what we can do on here, we can use our inspect tools and we can use our measure to figure out what kind of size that we've got on here. So we've got different kind of options that we can do on here. So I'm going to choose faces, and I'm going to make sure that we've got different kind of options on here, common origin, etc. But once we've selected that, we can see that we've got our different options, and our minimum distance is 27.82 between those on there. So that should be okay. If we need to make a change, we can just go and change that size on this protrusion. We can dynamic edit that on there and say, okay, let's change that to 6, and that's going to give us a different grip value on there. So we can go and test that. and see how we want that. So I've set that to 7.5 now. Okay, so we're ready to go and save that out now. So let's go and save as translated. And what we're going to do for this, we can choose STL or 3MF. My choice is 3MF. Make sure when we go to options, we choose fine, because that'll probably be coarse or custom. So set that to fine, and then OK. And then we can save that as our handlebar razor part. So I'm just going to chuck that into my bike related folder. I've probably already got one of those, but let's call that. And then we can save that. Okay, so next I'm going to go into my voxel maker program. I just use this because it's nice, basics, my very first 3D printer. And then I'm going to load this. So I'm going to go into my bike related folder. I can see I've got my bar razor. There we go. Let's click on to print. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go to infill, set that to 100. And we'll go OK. And we'll save that in the same folder. That'll then give us an estimate of the weight, the material, and how long that is going to take. So 4 hours 45 on a newer machine, you'll be looking at hour and a half or so on there, and you can go and see how those layers are going to be on there. But we can go back on there, and if I want to go and choose print again, let's go and change that infill. Let's say go 25% on there instead, and then let's see what that looks like. Let's replace that one. Should hopefully reduce it to sub 2 hours, hopefully. Still 3 hours 24, still quite a bit on there, even though that's creating that. Okay, hopefully that's useful, and giving us something useful that we can use. And we can obviously change that 33 dimension if we need to suit it to different handlebars. Go and measure your grips, find out what size they are. Really useful little tool, that one. Hopefully you've enjoyed that video, and thank you very much.